And ladies and gentlemen, here is another gentleman who deserves to be elected, Mr. Chris Lien.
Well, after an introduction like that, I hope I don't blow it, Gary. What a great privilege it is to be here in Lawrence County, and I will echo the previous two Senate candidates. It was a struggle getting over here from last night, and I applaud all of the statewide candidates in the efforts that they're putting in, traveling from town to town, because it's very important for us to be here. It's very important for us that you get the opportunity to get to know us. And it's great to caravan and travel with such great individuals throughout the state. I got up very early this morning to come back from Sioux Falls, and I talked to Julie, my wife, on the phone. She said, "You're on the tail end of a cold, and they've closed the interstate, and you drove through the closed interstate last time. It's okay. At least take care of yourself. You don't need to be there." And I said, "No, you don't understand. If I do not show up at the Lawrence County Lincoln Day dinner, Bill Trent will hunt me down and hound me until the end of my days."
And you don't miss.
And he doesn't miss. Julie and Annie and I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. last summer. We were traveling around looking at all the monuments and just the splendor and beauty of Washington, D.C. And I was looking at the program tonight, and it has the seated Lincoln on the front. And it reminded me of when we were at the Lincoln Memorial, and Annie was then 6, now 7. She was standing at the foot of Lincoln, and she was looking up. She said, "That's a great man." And I said, "You're right, and he's the founder of our party." And we talked about a little bit of the history and the sacrifices he made, all the things that he had done. Traveled to the different locations in Washington, D.C., and we were at the airport, and I asked her on our way home before we left, "Did you enjoy yourself?" And she said, "Yes, Dad, I did. As a matter of fact, it might be kind of fun to live here." And I said, "Well, now that you've mentioned it, there's something I need to tell you." 1972, just up the hill from here, Senate election for my father. Same age as my daughter, Annie. I was 6 years old at the time. We're walking door to door. I'm carrying pamphlets. My other 7 sisters and 1 brother are with me, and my mom. We're walking from block to block in the Lee Deadwood area, and I vividly remember walking up to one household, knocked on the door, opened the door, and this woman answered, and I said, "My name's Chris Lien. My dad's running for United States Senate, and I'd really appreciate it if you could vote for him and give him your support." And she looked at me and said, "Sonny, I wouldn't vote for your dad if he was the last person on earth," and slammed the door in my face. And I remember running across the street, and I tripped and I fell, and all the pamphlets that I had spilled out into the street. And I had skinned my knee and started to cry. And I was picking up the pamphlets, and my mom came over, and she helped me put them in the box. And we sat on the curb together. She put her arm around me, and I said, "Mom, why is Dad doing this? It doesn't look like it's a lot of fun." And she said, "Because he believes in this country, Chrissy. And he believes in you. And he believes in the future of all of us and our kids." And I said, "Well, this can't be that easy for you. Why are you doing it?" She said, "Because I believe in him." 9 kids in our family. That was the way our parents were with us. Faith and accountability. Make sure you make a difference. Be an individual. Whether it's an individual 1 out of 9 in your family, or an individual 1 out of 435 in the United States House of Representatives. If you believe it, you can make a difference as an individual. My namesake, Christian Lien, emigrated from Norway in 1880. He ended up in Summit, South Dakota. He owned a bank there. In the 1930s, he went bankrupt during the Depression, leaving himself and his depositors penniless. But instead of leaving, he stayed. And he worked until each one of his depositors was paid off. Didn't ask anybody for help. Didn't ask for any bailouts. Stayed and worked his way through it. And then brought his family west for a little bit better life. Never compromise your principles. Never quit until the job is done. And never abandon those who have faith in you from the start. This is the discipline I carry with me as I stand before you tonight. And this is the discipline I will take with me as well to Washington, D.C. Albert Pine wrote, "What we do for us dies with us. What we do for others is and remains immortal." Julie and Annie have made the sacrifice with me so that I might do something I care about so deeply, and that is to make a contribution through public service. And I've done a lot of things that I've been proud of in my lifetime, but my most proud contribution that I've been able to have is marrying my wife Julie and having our daughter Annie. And although Annie couldn't make it tonight, my wife Julie did, and I'd like to have her stand and be recognized. You know, you hear a lot of people talking about change, and it is about change. But my perspective is, it's not just about change. It's about a change in direction as well. And that change in direction, from my perspective, is to have citizen legislators that will legislate for the sake of good legislation, not credit or headlines. It's to be a representative, not a politician. It is to be someone who will listen in South Dakota and talk while you're in Washington, D.C. Not listen in Washington, D.C. and then come back and talk in South Dakota. I know it's going to be an uphill battle, but nothing ever worth it is easy. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you for your help tonight. And the first thing I'm going to ask you, as I've been traveling the state and have been telling our brethren in East River, is to tell all of your Republican colleagues to stop voting for my opponents. And all of these candidates that are traveling from town to town throughout this state, we do need to stand up, and we do need to help them, and pick one, and ride it to the finish line, and do whatever you can to help them. And I promise, if you invest in me, as I travel this state, and shake everyone's hands and look in their eyes, seeking the confidence of their vote, I will also look in the eyes of their children and grandchildren, seeking the confidence of their future as well. My name is Lien, and I'm running for United States House of Representatives. But most importantly, I am proud to be a Republican from South Dakota. Thank you.